Everybody, welcome back to the podcast. Today I'm joined by Bill Leverty, guitarist of the band FireHouse. I love FireHouse. I'm a big FireHouse fan, have been for a long time. In fact, I think your first album came out the year I was born.
Ah,
So clearly a great year, right? Bill, thanks so much for taking the time to be here. I really appreciate it.
hey, thanks for having me, Pat. Appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah. So, I saw you guys recently out in Watertown. I live in Wisconsin, and Bill, I was so impressed with the show because one, the sound was so tight, the playing was so tight. Nate did a phenomenal job. You guys just sounded so good. Great crowd. So first off, just like, yeah, you guys nailed it. It was really enjoyable to be there.
Thank you.
Yeah, no. So if you don't mind, like, I'll just go for a nerdy question right away.
Sure.
Just coming from the guitar background, what's your rig like these days? Because man, your tone was absolutely killer. And I wasn't close enough to see, like, have you gone the modeler route? Are you still miking your amps? Or this is a very indulgent question, but I'm sure a lot of people will be interested to hear. Oh, okay. So
you're right there.
Wow.
That's the whole rig. And it's, I put this in a little roller board kind of suitcase, put it in the airplane, in the little bin above my seat. And, to get nerdy with you, let's see
where you got the fractal. Yeah,
it looks backwards for me, but the XLR cables go to the front of house and to monitors.
Right.
And then these outputs, let's see, where am I here? Let's see, out two. These 2 1/4-inch go to a pair of Marshalls that are behind me that I use just to monitor myself.
Okay. Like I did see the Marshalls on stage, but I didn't know, what they were putting out. So that's really cool.
I'm just using them to listen to so I can hear what I'm playing.
Okay.
I've got the side fills that have my left and right output that are also going to front of house, but I've got a little sweet spot back there where I can kind of lock in with Michael Foster to hear what I'm playing and hear what he's playing.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for indulging that. And that's cool because I remember seeing an interview from you years ago. And one thing I've always liked about your playing is it's super tasty, but your tone has always been really good too. So I was like, what is Bill doing live? And I was searching around and I found an old video. I forget what year it was from. And you were doing the old, just very tedious, wet, dry, wet setup. Right.
Yeah.
So what made you switch to the digital? Is it just, I know you got to fly around
we do fly dates. Yes. That's it. And carrying around a refrigerator and then 3 cabinets or 6 cabinets, because you got to have, that backup for everything. It just got to be ridiculous. And we do all fly dates now. And we learned doing that made more sense for us through Blue Oyster Cult. We sat with them in immigration going into Canada. And I picked Buck Dharma's brain for about 3 hours. And he said, that's what they do. And he was using a little pod at the time. And I tried the pod and I couldn't make it sound as good as Buck. I mean, Buck's just an amazing player anyway. And not sure what he was doing with his. But I tried it for a while. Then I went back to a normal pedal board and the amp. And I was like, oh, this is so much better. And then this buddy of mine who's a real tone snob, who taught SSL mixing at Full Sail, super engineer named Mark Severns, and he engineered a couple of our albums and mixed one of them, and he got in touch with me and he said, "You won't believe this. You've got to get an Axe FX, which was their rack unit. It was this big, and then you needed an external controller for that, and I got one, and I just loved it. And I've been with Fractal ever since. I won't probably use a real amp unless it's really called for. So I've recorded most of my stuff with this Fractal stuff. I've got an Axe FX 3 over there, but honestly, I've used the Axe FX. I mean the FM3 for just about everything I've recorded. In the last. Well, since that came out, I've got an original. I've got 2 of them. I got one for a backup. You always got to have a backup.
Yeah. All right. So that's a nice segue into the next thing I wanted to ask you about, which is really your sort of creative process and how you go about production these days. So, not to be like overly fawning, but I already said I'm a big FireHouse fan. And one thing I've just always loved. Like your guys' albums, like they just don't have a bad tune. Like everything is so catchy. The guitar work is so groovy. What's your process like these days versus how it was before? You have this new song out, Mighty Fine Lady. It's awesome. I want to make sure people go and get that from your website. What, just explain that to me, because like I'm always interested to hear how other people move through the creative process. Are you a guy that just kind of comes with an idea and you play with it and just kind of let it develop organically? Or are you more kind of like abstract theory based? Just super curious to pick your brain on this.
Well,
Bill,
thank you. Yeah. I'm glad you like the song. I appreciate you saying that. But you know, I say it's you know, 10% inspiration, 90% perspiration. I sit down and I just practice at least 3 hours a day when I'm at home. And when I'm on the road, I don't do it as much. And I've got my Pro Tools rig set up so I can record any idea that I've got. I've got a microphone here. I've got a, you know, a direct injection into the system, and it sounds good. And it's already set up so I can come down, plug my guitar in, turn it on, and it sounds like the way I want to hear it.
Right.
So I can lay down keeper tracks. I've got a little drum. It's a drum programming program in there, you know, and I can lay down a beat pretty quickly on the keyboard. I can lay down a bass line pretty quickly on the keyboard. And so if I've got an idea, it usually starts with a guitar riff, or if I'm in the shower singing something, I'll, you know, come down real quick and try to lay down the idea. Then I go back through, you know, a week later or so and really think with an open mind whether I think it's any good or not, or if it sounds like something I've already done, or if it sounds like something somebody else has already done, then you got to scrap it, because it's and that's tough. That's the hardest part of it. One of the hardest part is because everything's already been done, and everything that hasn't already been done by somebody else is probably, I've tried it, and you know, not that we can't repeat ourselves, but you can't. You know, you have to have that filter in there, I believe, for us. And and the hardest thing, I think, is to find the subject matter of what you want to sing about. So that's you know, that's kind of, I think, answers your question.
Yeah. So even when two follow-ups to that, even when you were, you know, back with CJ, God rest him, did it usually begin with you coming with a riff, or him coming with a melody, or was it a little bit of column A, column B, whatever the muse gave you would run with? Yeah.
It was both. You know, we both had hook books, is what we call it, notebooks with titles of songs that we kept, and we were always thinking about it when we were together and when we were apart. And we were always, you know, calling each other saying, hey, I got this idea. And he was a magnificent writer. I mean, he was always working on it, and it motivated me to work harder. So
yeah. So how do you feel about production these days versus like something that I've never experienced and will never experience, you know, back in the old days? Because I mean, now with like Pro Tools and stuff, like, yeah, you can take a billion takes and just loop and splice and this or that. What was it like, the pressure, like if you're back in the studio for those first couple albums, right, without those conveniences? And how would you prepare for that? I know a lot of people are interested in how things were done in the old days, because like, yeah, like how many takes would you even get to lay down one of those solo tracks? And then like, yeah, you're at an age where like it's kind of all about that too. So you got to make them cooking. And talk about that a little bit, Bill, if you don't mind. Yeah.
Well, back then, I always put a lot of pressure on myself and had to go in really prepared.
Yeah.
And knowing, especially with solos, every note that I was going to play, how I was going to articulate it, how the vibrato was going to feel, because I wanted to layer my solos with multiple takes so that it sounded, because I was so inspired by Randy Rhoads. And he triple tracked his solos, so I wanted to triple track my solo.
Oh, not just double, but you triple them.
Triple them. Yeah, you got one down the middle, which is your main one, and then other ones panned hard left and right that are supplemental to thicken it up.
Yeah.
And so I really had to know what I was going to do, and I demoed this stuff, you know, on my little 4-track recorder, cassette recorder, several times before I'd go in.
Yeah.
And I'd always think, all right, I'm ready. And then you get there, and then that red light comes on, and then I would get really nervous and freak out, and finally calm myself down and get it.
Yeah.
But I think it's natural for everyone to have that red light syndrome where
Oh yeah,
start
totally.
recording, especially if there are other people in the room. Here in
Yeah.
my studio, in my basement, there's nobody but me, so the pressure's kind of off, but still,
You
I
still
can,
get it. Yeah, even when I just record at home, as soon as you hit the record button, things just change,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
I can be playing it great, but then as soon as I go command space bar, which is record,
Yep.
you know, I get tense.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what the secret there is because I haven't learned it yet, other than you
Yeah.
just keep doing it and eventually you kind of forget that you're recording. But
Yeah.
back then it was really tough because you had limited tracks and you had limited, you had to commit, you had to decide what you were going to do.
Yeah.
When we recorded our first album, the producer, David Prater, said, hey, look, we're going to do 6 tracks of rhythm guitars to make your guitar sound. And I was
Yeah.
like, 6? Wow, I've doubled, but I've never laid it down 6 times. And he said, yeah, so start practicing. And I said, okay. And then, so I got there to start, and he wanted to lay down a Fender Bassman amp that he had 1st and do a one take of that and one pass of that, and then go in and double that left and right. And when he said I had to do the Bassman first, I was kind of bummed out because it's a very unforgiving amp, and it's cleaner than what I'm used to. Doesn't have the gain or the sensitivity that I was used to. But he said, trust me. So I said, all right, you're the producer. So I doubled that Bassman, and I was still like, that doesn't sound really the way I hear it in my head.
Right.
He goes, well, let's lay down your Marshalls now. Stereo pair, left and right, 2 passes. So then once we had 4, and he brought up the faders for those 2 Marshalls, I was like, oh, wow.
I get it now. Yeah. Yeah.
Because that Bassman had so much that the Marshalls didn't have
Mm.
in terms of low end punch and an articulation somewhere, 2.5K or something that the Marshalls didn't have. And then he said, all right, now I've got this Soldano, and I want you to record a stereo pair of those. And he layered those in, and that had something else that was missing. And then that was that huge wall of sound that he got on that first album. Then on the second record, we went and he said, we're going to do the same 3 amps, but I also have this other Music Man amp that was modified by a guy named Harry Colby.
Yeah.
And, we're just going to turn it all the way up, like he did the Bassman, all the tone knobs and everything all the way up. And I also recorded a stereo pair of that. So that album has 8 rhythm guitar tracks.
Wow.
So it took a lot of time. My fingers were screaming in pain.
I bet.
Of it all, but it was worth it. It's,
Oh no, it's one of my favorite produced albums. Like there's like 2 albums where the guitar sound is just so thick and awesome. I think of that one, well, really your first 3 albums all kind of have that awesome sound. And Extreme 2, Nuno's sound on Extreme 2.
I think Nuno somehow he's been able to get it with just one take, or maybe he's just so good that it sounds like one guitar. On mine, you can hear the rubbing around with some of that stuff. I mean, I don't know what he does, but I'd love to be able to get it all with one take. It would sure save a lot of time and a lot of blisters on my fingers.
Yeah. What was just out of curiosity, what was the hardest one for you? Which one did you gave you the most grief in the studio?
The one that gave me the most grief on the first record was "Don't Treat Me Bad."
Oh, and really? I thought,
yeah, this is gonna be easy. Yeah. I've got this. I've played this a million times, but it was the acoustic intro of it, and we couldn't have the click track in the headphones very loud because it was bleeding into the mics that were very compressed. So I had to really lock in. And that, the first day I was in there, I was allotted a couple of hours to lay it down, and I just kind of failed miserably. And
happens to the best of us.
Can you turn that click track up just a little bit? I think I could lock in better. Nope, can't turn it up any louder. And I'd get it right, but then there would be a squeak on my strings or something, or I wouldn't really articulate one note all that well in the chord, and it just had to be right because that's all it is just that acoustic guitar, and I had to, I think, triple track that or at least double it. So I came back the second day and I was nervous because I'd failed the day before.
Of course, yeah. So the pressure's higher.
I did even worse the second day, and then he goes, "All right, I'm gonna give you one more chance tomorrow," and I said, "Okay." And I came in and I got it. But
nice.
But I could tell, when he said, listen, you're not really locked in. It's don't chicka chicka don't chicka chicka don't chicka don't chicka chicka don't chicka chicka don't. And I was herky jerky.
Yeah.
So,
what does one more chance mean? Did they just bring in some session guy or something back then?
I don't know what it was going to mean, but I do know that we played softball with the FireHouse guys who. That's the guy who owned the studio.
Yeah.
And Bear Tracks Studios was owned by the sax player, Jay Beckenstein, FireHouse. And I played softball with Al DiMeola. So he lived down the street. So all I was thinking is, Al would just come in and go, piece of cake. So, I put a lot of pressure on myself knowing that, what's going on here? It's not that hard, but I was nervous.
Yeah, it was something it's so easy to get in your own head a lot of times with anything. Yeah. Do you find that that was always a more difficult thing for you when that red light comes on than even just playing live?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. It still is.
Yeah.
And especially if there are other people in the room. And I've gotten so used to just recording myself here that, I'll even talk to myself, that sucks.
Yeah,
but if there are other people in the room, I get more nervous, and I think that's probably natural.
I think it's inevitable. This is really cool, Bill. I really appreciate this because a lot of times, for people who, they might just even be starting out, or they might have been playing for a while. They always hear that finished, pretty much perfect product, but they don't see kind of how messy it is behind the scenes. And I think it's important for people to realize now, pretty much everyone. I mean, I guess there's a few like just guitar little gods out there that have no issues. I've never met those. I guess they exist, right? But most people I've talked to is, oh no, it's just the process is always messy, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. And there is you've created this song and you want to give it the best representation you can to make it with all the details that you want to produce this song to be. And at the same time, if you get to 95%, is that good enough? Maybe, maybe not. But, to get from 95% to 100%, that may take you another month.
Yeah.
So you have to be in the point, I think, for myself to be able to let it go, even if it's a little flawed or if you're a little rushed or, tuning is a tough thing. I mean, you can feel like it's out of tune one day and come in the next day and it feels like it's perfectly in tune. So stepping away from it is sometimes good to come in with fresh ears. And it's easy to burn out and overthink things. And you got to also remember, it's not rocket science, it's rock and roll.
It's rock and roll. The fresh ears thing is interesting. It relates to a point I actually got from Stephen King. He's got a book on writing. He says, one of the best things you can do is just when you finish that, what you think is your first draft, just put it away for 3 months. Don't even look at it for 3 months, then come back to it with a fresh set of eyes. I think that's probably something that would be like good general advice across all sorts of creatives. Like
absolutely. That's, I can't wait 3 months, but if you
that's a long time, right, man? At least a week or something like that, right? Yeah. So now talk to me about the production for the new song, because it's so funny because I didn't know you guys were even working on this, and I was just in the car driving my kids around. By the way, my 8-year-old is a big FireHouse fan right now.
Oh, thanks. I call that good parenting.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm telling you, this new generation, it's looking good for rock and roll. And Mighty Fine Lady came on Hair Nation. I'm like, what is this? Like, what album is this on? Like, how did I miss this song? It's so catchy. So I started like looking through your album, like, how did I? And then I finally realized you guys put out a new song. So first off, like, congrats, because it was so rocking and so like FireHouse that I just assumed that I just somehow missed this song before, and so I went and bought it right away, and I saw you guys play it live. It was awesome. Talk to me about just the inspiration for that song, how it came about, and is this going to be part of a new full album? Are you working on more now, or what's just?
Well, thank you. we're going to do one song at a time. And then when we get 10, we'll put out an album. I don't know how long it'll take us to get 10, hopefully, quickly, but the way that one happened was, Nate, our new singer, Nate, phenomenal singer. He said, man, I'd really like to, work on a song. Why don't you send me a riff and I'll see if I come up with anything. So I have this, collection of riffs in there, and I can't remember whether I had something that was already there or whether I was like, all right, I'm going to start really trying to come up with a riff that'll really work for us. And I put that intro riff in his inbox, and he sang over it the first verse.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I love your melody. I love what you're singing about. It sounds cool, but I've got to change my part because I'm playing this riff over top of a verse lyric, and I think the dynamics need to come down a little bit. I need to give you something better for the verse, and we can still use that riff, but let me fiddle with this and I'll send it back to you. So I sent him back. We used that riff as the intro. That's the only time you hear that riff in the song now. But I sent him back some verse music and some chorus music, and we hadn't settled on the title of the song yet. We went through back and forth with a couple of things, and then I sent him some music for a B section, and he just went to work coming up with lyrical ideas and melodic ideas. And then felt like the song needed a bridge, so I sent him some music for that, and he had this cool bridge idea, and next thing you know, we were writing music for the solo, and it was done. And so the production wise, I had Michael lives about an hour from here, so Michael came in and laid some drums down so we could have a human feel with the song.
Yeah, totally.
And then we I changed, fiddling with it the whole time, getting it so that, because you can tell when it's not quite right, going from this section to this section to this section.
Right.
And so I'm changing little things here and there, and then once we had it mapped out, Michael came back and recorded his drum take. And I mean, he wasn't even here an hour. I mean, so quick. And there's a lot of drums going on. And he was really creative with his parts. Really uplifted that song quite a bit. And then because we live in separate places. Nate lives in Michigan. Alan lives in Ohio. We flew Nate in to sing on it. And then we had some gigs here in Virginia, and Alan, I said, you want to come in a night early and record? And he said, well, sure. So we flew him in. He got here that night. We went to dinner, and then said, all right, you want to ready to record, or you want to just do it tomorrow? He said, yeah, let's just do it now. He knocked it out really quickly. And then I'm like, you feel like singing? Yeah, sure. I mean, this is a guy who's never lost his voice. He's been with us for 22 years, and he's, got a great voice.
It's amazing. Yeah.
But he sang his high harmonies, and after that, it was time to mix it. And so I mixed it. It probably took longer to mix the song than it did to record it.
Sure. Yeah.
Just because we wanted it to sound like competitive with some of the great engineers that are out there today mixing.
Oh yeah, and what a serious challenge that is,
There's some good.
You nailed it though. I mean, it sounded like I really thought this was just a Firehouse song that I just missed somehow.
Well, we wanted it to sound like, and those first, 3 Firehouse record. Well, the first 2 were Prater and Doug Oberkircher did that, and we wanted it to have that flavor. And we also wanted to have a flavor of today, how we sound, and trying to get that balance is tough because you really want everything to sound, as good as it can possibly sound. So we worked on it and went back and forth a lot with it, and I think we achieved it. There's always things. Like I said, the 95% level, you can go the extra 5%, but will you ever let it go? Well, we finally said, yeah, this is good. And once everybody signs off on it, for me as a mix engineer, I'm like, all right, we're done.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So people need to need to. They absolutely should go and get the song. It's still available just for direct download for like $1. It's such a steal on your website, right?
Yeah, it's at firehousemusic.com for $1, or you can put in $1,000 if you want.
We'll please do. Yeah, do.
But it's also on all the streaming services as well. So
okay, it's on that. Yeah, just support them. That's such a cool thing.
Thanks.
I want to circle back. The release of songs. Here's just kind of I guess a fun, interesting question. Through your guys' career, obviously you had a number of songs that really just took off. And did you have Don't Treat Me Bad, Love of a Lifetime? Did you have a feeling did you kind of know oh, I think these songs are going to take off or be your hit, or did that kind of surprise you which ones took off? And here's another one that I really want to hear your thoughts on. Is there any song that you feel like, man, I wish. I'm so proud of this one. I wish this one would have gotten more attention. I feel like every artist has, you hear I'll use an example, Radiohead, apparently they hate Creep, right? And they're okay. I wish, apparently that people could fact check that. And there's other songs I wish people would listen to this one more. Just curious, when you look back over your catalog, if any songs surprised you that they became hits, and if there's any other song, if I want you guys to go listen to a song more because I'm really proud of this one, what would it be?
Well, that's a tough one. I'm proud of Reach for the Sky. I think that has all the elements that make me proud.
Yeah.
But the way that the record company rolled out our band in a time that was challenging, we were right at the tail end of that era of big arena rock kind of stuff. So they put out Shake and Tumble first. And it wasn't really a single. They sent it out to Metal Radio. Metal Radio at the time had a couple of stations that were doing metal. And we weren't exactly heavy metal. I mean, Metallica was metal. We were more, pop metal or whatever you call it. But they put out Shake and Tumble, and the record company kind of wanted to see if we had legs or not. And if we could, without them putting a lot of money into it, would we be able to prove ourselves? They put out Shake and Tumble, and it sold 100,000 copies right away. And this is to Metal Radio, where there weren't a lot of metal stations. There was a station out of Dallas called Z-Rock that was syndicated, and it was syndicated to about 15 or 20 cities around the country. And with them playing Shake and Tumble, we were able to get on a bus and go out. We had 20 gigs around the country.
Yeah.
So we did that, and we weren't making any money, but we went out and we did that. And everywhere we played, the sales people at the record company said, "Hey, we're noticing that you guys are selling some records after you play a gig, in Salt Lake City or whatever." And so that was encouraging to them. So then they decided to release a real single, with Don't Treat Me Bad. We didn't think it was gonna, I always thought it was a good song, and I always had hopes that it would be received well, but you're competing against Bryan Adams, and competing against Bon Jovi and Whitesnake and Def Leppard and the best of the best, so we didn't know. The record company gave us $10,000 to do a video, which was really not much back then. And we, and the song just shot up the charts. Every, station that was playing music of our genre was playing the song. And it was kind of embarrassing to the record company to have an inexpensive video, which I still think was a cool video, where we shot it in a club. And they were like, well, here's the plan. We're going to reshoot Don't Treat Me Bad. We're going to give you a $100,000 budget for that. And we're going to shoot that on Friday. And then on Saturday, you're going to shoot Love of a Lifetime will be your next single. And we were like, okay, you guys tell us what you want to shoot as the singles. You're the record company. We're not going to get in a fight with you over, because we want this song to be our single. You never win that battle.
No, yeah.
And because they're out there really fighting the war. So we, Friday night, we shot another version of Don't Treat Me Bad. And the song had already gotten into the top 20. And I think that MTV played it a few more times with the new version. And it went to number 14, I think is where it peaked. And then it was time for the summer prom song to come out. And that was Love of a Lifetime.
Right, yeah.
And that went to number 5. And then at that point, they were like, okay, you guys proved yourselves. So the record company was behind us, but they were like, look, we want you to go make another record. We were like, please, can we have another single? Def Leppard has 6 or 7 singles when they, put out.
Was it like 7 from Hysteria or something like that? Right.
And the record company said, well, you're not Def Leppard. We're like, we know that, but wouldn't we have a shot of having some good record sales if you put out another single? We want you to make another record, but all right, we'll put out another one. So they put out another single. They put out All She Wrote, and they shot this guy Phil Tuckett, who was just this great. He's an NFL films director, and he came out to a place in Utah and shot All She Wrote, and it was a wonderful video. We loved it, but I don't know, the record company, or maybe the song wasn't as received as well. It was a little more hard rock. We had already released a ballad, so the rock stations were a little alienated because they were thinking, you went across the street to our competition, to the pop station, with Don't Treat Me Bad and Love of a Lifetime. Now you want to come to the rock station and get us to play All She Wrote. Yeah, you're not really, so we got a little bit of a rub that way. But still, that song I'm proud of too, because I think the harmonies,
great song,
are good, and it's a good story kind of song and all that. But they really wanted us to go in and make another record, and they invited us into Tommy Mottola's office, and Tommy Mottola said, look guys, you can't have the material for your second record ready soon enough. And we said, well, we've got it ready. We've done our homework. We've been.
Oh, you already had it. So I was going to ask if this was like a Van Halen 2 situation, right? They were forced to just like pop it out like so quick. Right? Yeah.
I wouldn't go, that far of saying it was that good, but we had the songs ready that we felt, we could go in and make another album, and we got the same team together, Prater Oberkircher, and stayed in the same Ramada Inn in Mahwah, New Jersey, recorded in the same studio that we loved, and we were comfortable there, and we finished the album. And before we could even hang around to watch it mixed, we got the Tesla tour. So we were out on the road with Tesla in '92, and that was a wonderful tour. They treated us so well, and it was supposed to be a 6-week tour, and it lasted for 9 months.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna just a few more questions for you, Bill. This is really great.
Take your time, man. Take your time. This is
fun.
Yeah,
this is good. I see you're playing some shows with Warrant. I think me and my wife are gonna go see them this weekend. Actually, I wish you guys could see the two of you together. Yeah, they're at like one of the fairs around here. So
we just played with them last week. 3 shows last week.
Yeah,
Oklahoma and Texas.
Yeah, that's why I've seen you guys are together. So I was like, oh man, I wish you guys were together here, but I'll take what I can get. I have 6 kids, so I don't get to see a ton of shows, but I had to make sure we saw you guys and Warrant this summer. So I'll catch you guys together, hopefully at some point soon. Just in terms of your own personal, background, 2 questions, who inspired you then? Who's inspiring you now in terms of guitar playing? And you say you're still putting in 3 solid hours of practice a day. That's awesome. I just love to hear, like, what does that look like? When you're sitting down and practicing, how do you divide that time? Like I said, you're awesome on the craft. So I definitely want to hear, just kind of your philosophy of practice, even if you don't mind sharing a little bit.
Thank you. I after dinner, I watch a little TV.
Got to do it.
Then I come down from about 9 till about midnight, and I just play. I don't really have a routine. I just start playing. It's more playing than it is practicing.
Yeah.
And I find that I look forward to it. I love playing the guitar, and I love the way that these guitars sound through that fractal into out of these speakers. And it's just, that's what inspires me the most, is just the way that the guitar sounds.
Yeah. Yeah.
Early on, my first Carlos Montoya record that my dad had, this guy was just ripping up a guitar, and I never heard anything like it. I was a kid anyway, but that was one of his records that I wanted to hear, and he gave me that album. Actually, it's probably the first album I ever owned. And then my godfather gave me Led Zeppelin 4, and that was like, wow. I think that's probably the best masterpiece of a rock album.
Yeah,
ever.
so good.
And so that really inspired me. Then Leonard Skinner was my favorite band, and still probably one of them, and the Scorpions are probably. But I didn't find
Okay, interesting.
Scorpions
Yeah,
until way
I can
later.
now you mention that, I kind of hear them in the soup. I don't know if you're Zach Wild talks about the soup of influences, right? You know, you taste it and you kind of can, a little Leonard Skinner there, a little, Scorpions there. Yeah, I can see that now. Yeah.
That's a good one. The soup, I like it. Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
those, but Leonard Skinner early on, that was a big influence of mine. And then Ted Nugent. I saw Ted Nugent, and I also saw Kiss.
I just saw Ted, actually. I forgot him. I saw him 3 weeks ago in Waukesha. So that was the loudest show. My ears still hurt. It was insane. I've seen AC/DC, all those guys, right? I have never heard anything so loud as Ted Nugent. It was insane.
Yeah, well, I saw him in the 70s, and that was also my experience. It was extremely loud, and it just blew me away.
Yeah,
how this guy could make his guitar sound like that,
mm-hmm.
and with great songs. And that was back with Derek St. Holmes and Cliff Davies and Rob Grange on bass. So I saw that Ted Nugent tour, and that changed my life. And I saw Kiss alive on their Alive tour, and that also changed my life. My first real concert was the Doobie Brothers, and I loved them, how they had that soup, as you call it, with all those different kinds of influences in that music. But then Eddie Van Halen came along, and that was, of course, like, hey, this is what I want to try to be when I grow up, if I grow up.
So. Yeah, I'm still trying to be that. What I do is we're in a Milwaukee area Van Halen tribute band. So cool. I'm always getting my butt just absolutely kicked. And our next gig, we do a Van Halen and then some. So we're putting "Don't Treat Me Bad" on the set, so we get to explore a little bit. Yeah. So I just started on that one. Maybe I have to bug you about a few of the notes later. But yeah, I mean, of course, Eddie, right?
That changed my life totally. And then I was like, I couldn't really think of doing anything else other than play guitar for a living. But I always felt like I needed something to fall back on, but I could never find what that was. So I just went with guitar.
You go all in. What about today? Any players today that stand out to you? Or do you listen to a lot of the contemporary stuff? Or you? I gotta be honest, I don't listen to a whole lot of it. I always just I was born in the wrong generation, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I harken back to the old Aerosmith albums and Led Zeppelin and Van Halen, and I've come to appreciate music. When I was younger, I had my blinders on. Now I've opened them up a bit, and I've come to appreciate music that I didn't appreciate back then. But I think I listen more to the stuff that kind of was way over my head then, and it's still way over my head, but I listen to it more for inspiration, such as Steve Morse. Anything Steve Morse ever did, I can't listen to that enough because he was such a creative, and the Dregs were such a great band.
Yep.
So him, Eric Johnson. I never get sick of listening to Eric Johnson. Mm-hmm. Joe Satriani.
Yep.
So there's if I'm looking for inspiration, I'll put on a Dregs record, and I always find something where I go, oh, that's great. So I think by osmosis, that soup thing you mentioned, that's kind of gotten into the soup a little bit too. But I can't play any of that stuff accurately, but I can, some of it's gotten in, and maybe some of that vibe will come out, because to me, Steve Morse is the best guitar player that's ever walked the planet.
Oh yeah. I mean, like, all that stuff is just crazy. But don't sell yourself short either, because you got such great stuff. And what impressed me so much is again when I saw you guys in Watertown, it was so good. It was so tight. And by the way, shout out to Michael. His drum solo was so cool just to see just like an old 10-minute just drum solo.
And it's so good. It's
so good. I was filming it for my own drummer. I'm like, you're missing out. You would love this, right? Yeah.
It's never the same every night either. He's one of those guys that's just got it. He started playing when I think he came out of the womb with a pair of drumsticks, and he's been playing since he was really, really young. I didn't start till I was, a teenager, but he started when he was probably 5. He had his first drum set, and he's just got the vibe, the groove, all the chops, but he's so tasteful and he's so creative, and he's just an amazing drummer. he's awesome.
It was just really cool to just to hear the technicality, how tight you guys were. I remember watching. You guys got. I'll encourage people to check it out. You've got the, what was it, the Cajun Dome live one from the '90s. Sounded awesome. Just sounds so good.
Thanks,
so
man.
yeah, you guys still do. So Bill, last thing, and I'll let you get on with your good day here. Where do you see? What's the future of Firehouse for you? What are you excited about? I know you're working on new material. You guys are doing a lot of shows. Nate sounds awesome. He's a great guy in front. Again, God rest CJ. What a sad passing that was. But just curious, like what's the future hold for Firehouse, and what should people look forward to here?
Mm-hmm. Well, we love playing live, and we're going to keep playing live till we can't play live anymore. We love the touring, but we also love recording new music, and we're just really thankful that people have liked our new song, and we're going to work on more songs. It's always a challenge to get the song started, because you got to have the right elements to get it going and to know what you want to sing about. So we're trying to figure that out, and that'll be the next song. And we love it. I mean, we had a great time recording this last one. We all saw the vision the same way, and everybody's on the same page. And so the future for us is making new music and playing it live. And that's, and we love playing our back catalog too. And so we do probably 50 shows a year, something like that. So most of them are fly dates, and, we're getting some frequent flyer points and flying around the country. And we wake up early, and we're late to bed, but something about getting on stage and having people sing along with you, it makes you forget how tired you are. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. So if people haven't seen you guys recently, have to highly encourage it. Go grab the new song, Firehouse. You guys are all over the usual platforms, connect on Facebook, and then your own stuff, Bill, your solo stuff. Just BillLeverty.com. Is that the best place to keep up with everything you're just doing?
Leverty.com. I got 5 solo albums, and I'm not really going to be working on them, I don't think. Next, I'm going to try to work on the next Firehouse, song. But on my website, you can download a couple of things, and a couple of songs on there that I haven't put on an album yet. So they're there, and it's fun. I like this music thing.
Yeah, well, so do I, and I want to thank you for putting out so much good music throughout all the years, Bill. This has been a joy. Thank you for taking the time to be here. I'm going to link all those pages and stuff in the description for the listeners, and I hope we could do this again at some point, Bill.
Thanks, Pat. Really I'd love to. It was great talking to you.